Hey guys! If you're fans of DC Comics, then you already know that Batman has one of the largest and most diverse galleries of villains in the world of comics. And today we're going to talk about one of the most interesting, the iconic and icy Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is a villain who lives in Gotham City and has the ability to control ice and cold. But don't think he's just any villain. He's intelligent, cunning, and has a tragic backstory that led him to become the villain we know today. And if you're not familiar with Mr. Freeze yet, don't worry. We'll tell you everything you need to know about this cold villain who is one of Batman's greatest enemies. But before we get into it, let's make something clear. If you love hot days and sunshine, you might not be such a fan of Mr. Freeze. After all, who doesn't love freezing temperatures and the possibility of having your hands and feet frozen forever? Just kidding, let's get to know this interesting villain a little better. And if you're a comic book fan or a lover of pop culture, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I bring exclusive content about DC characters and much more. I guarantee you won't regret it. Origin of Mr. Freeze. Now that we've done a brief introduction to Mr. Freeze, it's time to learn a little more about his backstory. And get ready, because the villain's origin is one of the most tragic and emotional in the DC Comics universe. Mr. Freeze's real name is Victor Fries. He was a scientist who worked in a cryogenics lab, which means he studied and researched the use of cold to preserve cells and tissues. But Victor's life wasn't just about science and work. He had a wife named Nora, whom he loved more than anything in the world. One day, while Victor was conducting an experiment in the lab, he was interrupted by some criminals who wanted to steal the samples he was studying. During the fight, the criminals damaged the equipment that kept Nora in suspended animation, and she began to die slowly. Desperate to save his wife, Victor decided to use his knowledge of cryogenics to freeze her and prevent her from dying. But during the process, Victor was exposed to chemicals that changed his body and transformed him into Mr. Freeze. And that's where the tragedy begins. After the transformation, Victor realized that he could no longer live in normal temperatures and needed to be in cold environments to survive. In addition, he discovered that his wife could only be cured by a chemical substance that was in the possession of Wayne Enterprises. Thus, Mr. Freeze became a villain in search of this substance, willing to do anything to save his beloved Nora. And that's why he became one of Batman's greatest enemies, who was always willing to stop his evil deeds. But let's not forget that, despite everything, Mr. Freeze's motivation is noble. He wants to save his wife and will stop at nothing to do so. And that's one of the things that makes the character so interesting and complex. So, what do you think of Mr. Freeze's origin? Comment below and share your opinion. Powers and abilities of Mr. Freeze. Now that we know a little more about the origin of Mr. Freeze, it's time to talk about his powers and abilities. And just because he's a villain doesn't mean we can't appreciate his skills, right? As the name suggests, Mr. Freeze's main power is cold control. He is capable of creating fields of ice and snow, freezing objects and even people. And don't think he only uses this power to freeze things for fun. He is extremely skilled at using the cold to create weapons and shields made of ice, as well as being able to control the weather in a certain area. But Mr. Freeze's powers are not limited to just cold. He also possesses superhuman strength and endurance, which means he is much stronger and more resilient than an ordinary human being. This makes him capable of facing Batman in hand-to-hand combat and still emerging victorious. In addition, Mr. Freeze is a genius in technology. He is able to create advanced and complex equipment to assist him in his evil deeds, such as his refrigerated armor that protects him from heat and physical attacks. But perhaps Mr. Freeze's greatest ability is his intelligence. He is a brilliant scientist and can create elaborate plans to achieve what he wants. And even when defeated, he always manages to escape and come back to try again. So what do you think of Mr. Freeze's powers and abilities? It's really impressive how a villain can have so many talents, isn't it? But don't forget that he is a villain who should always be faced by our beloved Dark Knight, Batman. And if you're a fan of superheroes and villains, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I bring exclusive content about DC characters and much more. I'm sure you'll love it. Facts about Mr. Freeze. If you think you already know everything about the villain Mr. Freeze, get ready to be surprised by some interesting facts about the character. 1. Mr. Freeze's first appearance was in the Batman animated series in 1992, in the episode Heart of Ice. He became one of the most popular villains on the show, even getting an entire episode dedicated to his origin story. 2. Mr. Freeze's real name is Victor Fries. The name Fries is a reference to the English word freeze. 3. Mr. Freeze's look was inspired by Fritz Lang's 1927 film Metropolis. The character Rot Wong, a mad scientist with a mechanical arm, was the main inspiration for the villain's design. 4. In DC Comics universe, Mr. Freeze has had different origins. In some stories, he was a scientist who suffered an accident during an experiment with cryogenics, while in others he was just a common criminal who adopted Mr. Freeze as his name to commit cold-related crimes. 5. An interesting fact about Mr. Freeze is that he suffers from a disease that prevents him from surviving temperatures above 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why he needs to use his refrigerated suit to survive. 6. Actor Arnold Schwarzenegger played Mr. Freeze in 1997 movie Batman and Robin. Although not well received by critics overall, Schwarzenegger's performance as Mr. Freeze received praise. 7. In some versions of comics, Nora Fries has been introduced as Victor Fry's wife, and she plays an important role in many stories where she is frozen and suspended animation and her husband tries everything possible to save her life. 8.1 of Mr. Freeze's abilities is creating ice clones of himself which can fight and distract enemies while true Mr. Freeze executes his plans. 9. Mr. Freeze also appeared on other DC animated shows like Batman Beyond or Justice League Unlimited. 10. Despite being a villain, Mr. Freeze is one of the most tragic characters in DC's gallery of villains. His quest for revenge for his wife Nora's death and his struggle to survive in a world that doesn't understand him make him a complex and interesting character. So what do you think about these facts about Mr. Freeze? Now you have even more reasons to be interested in this iconic DC villain. And if you want to know more about DC characters and superheroes in general, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm sure you'll love it. Conclusion. And we've come to the end of this amazing video about Mr. Freeze, one of DC's most iconic villains. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the origin, powers, and abilities, and trivia of this fascinating character. Mr. Freeze may not be the most well-known DC villain, but he is certainly one of the most interesting. His tragic story and icy powers make him a complex and intriguing character capable of captivating any comic book or superhero fan. Furthermore, Mr. Freeze is an example of how a villainous character can be human and have understandable motivations, even if his actions are not justifiable. This complexity and depth make his story even more interesting and rich in nuances. Finally, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and continue following my videos about the world of superheroes and comics in general. We have many other fascinating characters to explore together, and I'm sure you won't want to miss anything. Thank you for your attention and engagement in this video about Mr. Freeze. I hope I was able to entertain and inform you at the same time. See you next time.
If you liked the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll stay here until next time.